we're going to start off today with a segment I like to call
Declassified.
So I love the CIA, and I love all their
course.
creepy little experiments on human beings.
We love it. We love it.
I love that they
We're here for
did
it.
that. Today I'm going to be talking about another CIA human experiment with some very familiar themes, plus some really crazy new ones. So,
ooh, how do you even find new ones?
I don't know. They've done this so many times. They've done so many horrible things to the people of America, but whatever. I'm talking about Operation Midnight Climax, which is a hilarious name.
That's the name of a porn,
That
right?
is the name of a pornography. If it's not, guys, what are you doing?
It should be.
Pornographers, what are you doing? You're about to be illegal. You need to make this
do this.
porn soon. So it was a decade-long operation that began in 1953, in which the CIA recruited female sex workers to lure men into a bordello that was filled with cameras and microphones and dose them with LSD without their knowledge. See, familiar themes with some fun new ones. So this operation clearly was a part of MK Ultra, that program, which we've talked about many times on the show. Earlier this year, other programs that MK Ultra, other operations rather, that the MK Ultra program held was Operation Chaos, where the CIA infiltrated universities, the anti-war movement, the Black nationalism movement, civil rights groups, because they were convinced that they had to be funded and directed and run by communists. Even though they never found any evidence, it still remained into effect well into the 70s. We also discussed Project Bluebird, which was basically their Manchurian Candidate operation. They were dousing our own military men with LSD and combining it with hypnosis to try and see if they could get control over a person's mind to the extent that they would do their bidding, even against their own morals and survival instincts.
Still reeling from that.
Yeah, that was a tough one. Jolly, fucking Jolly West.
Oh, Jolly.
Mind controlling a person to assassinate the president or something weird like that. I don't know. Something weird like that, maybe?
Who said it? It could be. It was just an idea
they had. Operation Midnight Climax was all about interrogation. They wanted to see if LSD mixed with sex could be used to coax sensitive information from people.
I mean, honestly, I would think so. That would be how I started the experiment. To be that relaxed and what is life? I would give up any information.
Is water wet? What are we doing?
Correct. Yeah.
We spent money to investigate this?
Yeah, the answer is yes, you will get information out of people. What?
You probably will. So in order to dive into this, I have to introduce you to a new creep named George Hunter White.
George Hunter White. That just sounds like a creep.
It's the three names, man. Every time someone does something bad, we're like, what's their middle name?
I mean, I think we've talked about this on the podcast, and I feel like I see it on TikTok, many serial killers are named men.
And you know why? I thought about that for a while, and I was like, that's a weird trend. But then I started thinking about it, and I was like, they probably do that with the serial killers, so that if anyone has the same name, if anyone's name is John Gacy,
you can differentiate.
You could be no, I'm not John Wayne Gacy. I'm John Jordan Gacy. John Jordan Gacy killed some boys.
That was really good. I mean, terrifying, but
horrible joke.
John,
bad taste.
Ted. I'm trying to think, why are no other killers coming to mind? But they all had basic names.
Yeah. So Wilder's safe.
I've forgotten every killer ever. I had John and Ted, that's as far as it went.
This is what we're talking about, guys. Something's going on.
We are not well.
Okay.
Oh my God, just go on.
George Hunter White. He was a journalist for the San Francisco Bulletin for years before he ended up taking jobs at the Federal Bureau of Narcotics, which led him to work for the Office of Strategic Services, which basically eventually became the CIA. And what's funny about George White is that he was a son of a bitch when it came to drugs. Like, in public, he was a relentless warrior in the war against drugs, like against people who sold drugs, used drugs, very anti-drugs. Drugs are destroying the world. Never do drugs. But behind the scenes, not only was he a drug user,
Of course.
fucking hypocrite,
I feel like they all are.
but he was known for doing things like spiking women's drinks during interrogations and investigations, and he would give cigarettes
I'm already
laced
enraged. This is
it's
not
rough.
good for me.
Cigarettes laced with drugs to mafia members in an attempt to get information from them. So, like, not only was he using drugs, he was like drugging people against their knowledge. Then in the 40s came LSD, psilocybin tea, and MK Ultra started up. And Sidney Gottlieb, who I've mentioned before, he was the leader of MK Ultra. He heard about George White's like whole drugging people without their knowledge thing, and he loved it. So he was like, "Hey,
That's my guy.
listen.
That's my guy.
I've been looking for a guy like you. I love your work." And he was like, "I want you to set up a CIA safe house in Greenwich Village and help me with this cool new project I have. There will be drugs." And George White was like, "Hell yeah, dude. Count me in. I'm your guy." So he spent today's equivalent of $45,000 setting up this like pad in New York. Began posing as an artist and hanging around New York City's like bohemian culture, and would lure people into the location, dose them with drugs, and then just like see what happened. Just report back. Tell me how they reacted to these drugs.
He's like sitting in a beanbag, like, how you feeling?
Yeah, well, because this was like right when LSD and psilocybin and DMT came on the market. So like,
yeah,
we needed test subjects. They needed test subjects. Technically, these people, I don't know if he was dosing these people without their knowledge, or if he was just like, "Hey, I have some drugs. Do you want to do them?" And then they would do them. And then he'd be like,
right.
"How do you feel?" And they'd be like,
"Yeah,
I saw God." And he'd be like, "These drugs rule. Keep them coming."
Yeah, this is going great. Yeah, for sure. He was just infiltrating the party scene.
So this went on for like a year. And then MK Ultra was almost shut down entirely in 1953 when a high-ranking CIA chemist, Frank Olson, was found dead after he fell from the window of a New York City building after being dosed with LSD. And for anyone who isn't familiar with that story, it's kind of the most famous MK Ultra story, I think. They were able to cover up the cause of death and drugs all the way until like 1975. The program's already been shut down. But the Washington Post ran a story exposing that he had like LSD in his system. And then later in 1994, his body was exhumed for a forensic analysis, and they found his head had been struck multiple times before he hit the ground. So
interesting.
Netflix has a documentary. You guys are in luck. It's a series. It's called Wormwood.
Netflix has a documentary for everything.
What do you want to learn about?
We got it.
Octopus? We got one.
Oh.
Murder? Several hundred.
Bad roommates?
Horrible roommates.
I still am gonna shout from the rooftops how much I fucking love this
finished. Worst roommate ever. Fucking hell.
Oh my
also,
God.
Trigger
I can't
warning.
believe these people are real.
Do not watch Worst Roommate Ever if you don't want to hear about pets dying, because these fucking people kill pets like you wouldn't believe. It's like their second favorite thing to do besides murder humans.
Yes, it was in a few of the stories, but and I was like, we don't have to harp on it for too long, but the one where the woman was like out of town and the guy was like, "Your dogs got out. I have everybody looking." And then she came home and he was just like,
I killed it.
I was like, I think I fell out.
What about the guy that got arrested, and then when he got out of jail, he got like pinned murder. I don't remember what he got pinned on him. Murder. He got a murder pinned on him while he was in jail before they discovered it was the fucking other guy. That guy had his cats put down.
I know.
It was awful. So
Horrific.
seriously, like, don't watch that show if that stuff bugs
Don't
you, 'cause
watch
it's
it,
hard.
but also
But
it
also fucking
really
watch it
consumed
because
my
it was
life. It's the
crazy.
best. Oh gosh, and
Okay.
that's the sick mind of keep it weird.
Hello. So once that huge thing happened where the guy fucking fell out of a the 18th story or whatever and died,
Sure.
it put a slight pause on MK Ultra's affairs because
As it would, yeah.
oops, they were almost found out. But once they knew they
Whoopsies.
got away with it, they were like, okay, let's open a new safe house, this
Mhm.
time in San Francisco,
San Francisco.
the home of the Golden Gate Bridge.
Oh yeah, what was that funeral home that ended up being in Dallas?
The Golden Gate Funeral
Golden
Home.
Gate Funeral Home. Yeah.
So they rented an apartment. I actually have the exact address. They rented an apartment at 225 Chestnut Street on Telegraph Hill. Windows that overlook the bay. It's absolutely gorgeous. And actually, fun fact, the last person who bought that apartment spent $10 million on it. And I don't know if they know what happened there
Oof.
before in the 70s, but
And you're saying apartment, and you just said they bought it for 10 million,
that's like the people that own it right now.
but it's an
In the
apartment.
70s, yeah, it's an apartment. And it was
Just needed to be 10
basically
million
the
for an
same
apartment.
thing, probably like a duplex situation in the
Okay.
70s. I'm not really sure.
Mhm.
It's the same structure, like it's the same building.
It's just such a large amount of money.
I'm sure it was not $10 million in the
No,
70s.
for sure.
Yeah, that
Absolutely
would be insane.
I'm
But
still just that anybody can buy that now. I'm still reeling from that, but it's fine.
having a little bit of money would be nice right now. Anyway,
Amen.
they hung up some cool posters. They gave the place some sexy lighting, and they outfitted the place with hidden microphones. And they installed a room behind a one-way mirror where George White could physically be there and watch everything that went down.
Okay.
Then they went out, they found sex workers, and they talked them into doing this work for them. They would give these women what they called chits, but they were basically little like vouchers that they could use as either get out of jail free cards if they were ever apprehended by law enforcement, or they could turn them in, they could redeem the vouchers for cash in exchange for them doing their business in this place. So the men would pay them, they would get that money, but then the CIA also would give them these vouchers that they could like use for things
Okay.
if they brought them back to this place. And it was actually kind of a brilliant plan because sex work was illegal, is illegal.
Right.
So neither the women involved nor their clients would report anything to the police,
Right.
because they'd be getting themselves in trouble.
They're not going to tell on themselves. So, yeah,
they're not going to tell on themselves.
And also, I mean, being offered this extra money when, like they're
Why
already
not?
doing the hustle.
And you're in
like,
a safe situation because there's people there. Yeah.
Dang.
So it was actually
genius.
pretty great for, actually now thinking about it, it's really great for sex workers, I think.
Yeah.
Because they didn't give a shit that these men were watching.
No.
They knew, but their clients had no idea and did not know that they were being dosed with LSD.
Sure.
Well, George White became obsessed with watching the sex, and he would like put in requests for the women to do certain things with the men. He eventually installed a mini fridge and a portable toilet behind the one-way mirror so he wouldn't have to miss anything. And he would often, this is a fun little note, he would often drink whole bottles of gin while working. What a job. Also gin.
I know.
Get
and
a
I'm
life,
like, I know
dude.
some people like gin. I'm not trying to shit on gin drinkers. It just feels like a dirty bottle to be drinking.
Who
for some
drinks
reason.
straight gin?
Straight gin. Yeah. Give me a gin
That's
and tonic
wild.
with a little lime.
That's
I don't
wild.
know. A bottle of gin.
If you was shaking up cocktails, that's one
Yes.
thing. But no, he would just drink a bottle of gin.
Straight bottle
Remember,
of
this
gin
was Mr.
watching
like
sex act.
Mr.
Yeah.
Straight Man, Mr.
I hate
Drugs
him.
are bad.
Mm-mm.
So anyways, like I said at the beginning, this went on for a decade. A year in New York, 1 year off, and then 8 years in San Francisco doing this nasty shit before They were shut down by the CIA's Inspector General, who literally didn't even know they were doing it, and they shut MK Ultra and their safe houses down in 1963. Even though what they did was extremely gross, at least we got a lot of great intel from it. Oh, wait. No, we didn't.
We didn't get jack shit.
No, we did not. We didn't get anything out of any of these experiments.
So this was literally just for George McCreeperson to get off with his bottle of nasty gin, jerking it with his red nasty face. I don't even know what he looks like, but I just assume. Men are trash. All right, well.
They never discovered a mind control technique or a truth serum, of course, that we know of. Who knows what the fucking hell they're doing there now?
I know.
That's what's so fucking crazy, is that like all of this shit that I've talked about on the show before, like the CIA still exists.
Right.
And the CIA is still doing stuff that we don't know about.
That we do not know about. So it's like,
what kind of crazy
what will we find out about in 10 years, 20 years?
Are they getting up to right now? So they never did find anything that we know of that we could use against our enemies. What they did learn is that it is easier to get something out of a man after he has sex.
Oh.
Which, okay, like we said, is water wet?
We
know
knew this. Does anyone know men? Like, come on.
Well, and also, like, literally, World War II was not that long before this. Like, we learned that in World War II. We had Betty Pack. We had Virginia Hall, Julia McWilliams. They were spies during World War II. They would have sex with men to get information out of them.
We know this is the case.
Case closed. We figured it out. So,
Yep.
Yeah, they learned that, I guess. They also learned different cool ways to covertly poison people. They would literally go to different bars in the city in San Francisco and slip drugs into people's drinks. And they used San Francisco as a place to test brand new drugs. We know that because when I did the Chaos book report and I talked about Charlie Manson, they were testing drugs on literally the Manson family before they moved to LA. But they were also just dosing random people in San Francisco.
Which is just so terrifying.
Insane. One former agent was quoted as saying, if we were scared enough of a drug not to try it out on ourselves, we sent it to San Francisco.
That's so sad and scary. Ugh. SF. You're
horrifying.
Going through it. Well, Jesus.
It was not the place to be. The whole, like, summer of love thing. It's like summer of love and death and drugs and...
Death, drugs, destruction.
America trying to kill you. To this day, the names of the people who were dosed, drugged, recorded, killed, and experimented on by the CIA as a part of MK Ultra, I feel like I say this every single time, but I have to make it clear, have been completely lost. Sidney Gottlieb had extremely strict rules about never writing down details of what they were doing in the CIA. The CIA destroyed all known records of this program in 1973. We will never know what happened to a lot of these people. But I did want to end this segment with a quote from George Henry White himself in a letter that he wrote when he retired. And I found conflicting things. Like some people said it was a note to Sidney Gottlieb, and some people said it was a note to someone he worked for at the narcotics department. I don't know. But there was a picture of the note. It existed. And it said, I toiled wholeheartedly in the vineyards because it was fun, fun, fun. Where else could a red-blooded American boy lie, kill, cheat, steal, rape, and pillage with the sanction and blessing of the All-Highest?
I can't exist anymore. What? She's got the flag again.
American taxpayer dollars.
This
well
is
spent
perfect
again.
Timing for it because, like,
usual.
Jesus Christ, like, what is
Can
this
you
country? So perfect use of the flag, but are you kidding? Like, I feel ill. That is.